Okay, so I'm Christy Collins. I'm here with Genelle. She has agreed to kind of talk to you about her experience with the Sunrise Club and circadian living and kind of how it's impacted her life. And I'm so excited because I don't know if I told you this, Genelle, but when I was doing my quantum biology training, you were the first person that popped into my mind. I was like, oh, I think this could really help Genelle. Like, I think this could be so great. And then I was like, I also think she might be the last person that I know that might want to actually do it. So I think I sent you a message at one point, like a little audio message, like, hey, I'm learning this really cool stuff. If you're ever interested, let me know. And I didn't hear back from you. I'm like, yeah, she's not interested. And I was really surprised later. You were one of the first people to buy the 7 Day Sunrise Club when it came out this spring. And I was really surprised that you bought it. I was like, what? I double checked the name. I checked your email. I'm like, oh, this is really interesting that she's doing it. So do you mind telling people kind of what was going on for you before you bought the Sunrise Club and kind of like your rationale for why you got it? And I'm actually curious too, because we haven't ever
Sure.
talked a lot about that.
So the reason for it is that I've had a bunch of health things pop up in the past few years. Some of them are longer running and they just weren't ever a huge problem for me. And then they became a bigger problem towards the end of 2022, early 2023. And I've been working on healing them. And I knew that fixing my own sleeping rhythms would probably be a huge part of me getting towards a better spot with that healing. And so when I saw, I think you posted it on Instagram and Facebook, but when I saw it, I was like, I know that this is what I need to do. And every part of me was like, I don't want to click that button because I'm paying to torture myself. But I did it because I knew it was what I needed to do, and I'm really glad I did.
Now, what did you think was going to be torturous about the Sunrise Club, which is just a 7 day mini course on how to get up, go outside for sunrise?
Well, that's the part right there, waking up for sunrise.
Why was that so torturous for you at that point?
So I am now, but before most of my life, I was not a morning person. Actually, my parents have told me that since I was a baby, I've always had my days and my nights mixed up. And I know as a kid, as a teenager, like as far back as I can remember, I'm a nighttime person or was a nighttime person. And I came alive around 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and I was most productive until, 1, 2 in the morning, something like that. And that continued into my adulthood. But it was once I had a family, it was hard because my family operated on a normal schedule, but I was still stuck doing my best work late at night when they were all sleeping. But then when they were awake during the day, I wanted to be sleeping. Yeah, I knew waking up for sunrise was going to be hard, but I also knew that I needed to do it. And I figured I know how much work you put into the things that you put out there for people to use. And I knew that if I was going to have any chance of switching that around and waking up in the morning successfully, that following something that you had put together would probably be the thing that would help me be successful because you would have covered all the bases and helped me to know what to do. So, yeah.
So you were going to bed at like 1, 2, and I remember because we would check. I'd be like, I'm going to bed now, and you're like, oh, I'm just starting, and then in the morning, if there was, you were like me because I was a night owl too for a really long time, or so I thought. And I remember people would ask me to do 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock meetings in the morning, and I'm like, and I feel like you were like that too. You were
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, it was before 10 in the morning. It was questionable as to whether or not we'd have you there.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't think that I used to be human before 10 in the morning. Like, and that was even iffy. So I usually said no to anything that happened before 10 because I just knew it wasn't going to work for me. Or
Yeah.
I would, if I got there, I would not be my best anyway, and it probably wasn't worth it. So yeah.
So your main goal is just I want to get myself on a more of what you called like a normal routine, like waking up at a decent hour, going to bed at a decent hour. That was the main goal.
Yes, because and the reason for that was because I knew that it would be healthier for my body with all of the things that I was trying to fix that were wrong with me. So,
Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
so what was it like going through the course? Was it
Uh
torturous torturous? Which parts, I know which parts were torturous, which parts were
The
fun.
alarm in the morning was torture.
So what time was sunrise when you started? Because you started in the spring and it
It was
was,
in March.
yeah.
So maybe 7-ish, somewhere in there, which to me felt super early. Now I'm like, I'm doing all kinds of things by 7 in the morning now. But then it felt really early and it was cold because it was March. And I very often swung through the living room, grabbed a blanket off the couch, took it to the deck and curled up in it. And it was the first day was 1 minute and I was like, oh, this isn't so hard. But by day 7, when it was 7 minutes, I was like, I need to be done with this. I want to go back to bed.
So you said for a while you were getting out and then you were coming back in and going back to sleep because you
Yes,
going to bed early enough yet to be able to
right.
get enough sleep to function.
I was still going to bed at 1, 2, sometimes 3 in the morning because I had not fully gotten my sleeping rhythms back where they should be. And also, I wasn't being productive yet. And so I felt like every night at 10 o'clock, I'd be needing to tackle something off of my list because otherwise the day was wasted. And so I was staying up way too late. And so mornings were hard, but
Uh,
I was committed. I spent $17. I was going to do it.
yeah, you stuck with it. You did it. It would have been really easy to just be like, whatever. And some
Yeah.
people have been like, I spent $17, like whatever, I'll just. But you kept going. And I'm curious, how long did it take you? Because when I first talked to you after the course, you were still in the, yeah, this is still not fun yet, but I'm gonna keep doing it. When did you start to see the things shift for you?
When I started going to bed at a decent hour. So at some point, I think you and I had actually had a conversation, and you said, yeah, if you start going to sleep at a better time, those mornings aren't going to be so hard. And you were right. And now, and then I think that was the same conversation where you told me that I should get those orange lensed blue blocking glasses. And when I put those on now, when the sun goes down, I know within a few hours my brain is going to get tired. Like I can be sitting doing, I mean, I could be doing something active like dishes, or I could be sitting on the couch with my family, and my brain just is like, it's time. And I get tired. And I think that those glasses really helped to start my brain getting the right signals that it's really time to be sleeping because I was no longer being flooded with bright light because
Mhm.
at night that's what we do, we turn on the lights.
Ah, and that's why I
So
kind of baked that in. It's not really like a morning thing, but I baked it into the very end of the Sunrise Club because that is so important. And I knew people, if they're still struggling with getting up, it's probably because the nighttime. So the blue blockers are so easy, just put them on. And I remember, I think you were a little hesitant about those too. You were like, I just got away from glasses. I don't want to have to put glasses on. But I was like, just try it. I think it's going to make, and it sounds like it did make a difference
oh
to be
it made
calm
yeah,
down and quiet down. And
it made a huge difference. I start getting tired now, and I know that if I didn't have the glasses on, I wouldn't be getting tired quite the same way. I'd probably get tired because my days start earlier now, but there's a different feeling to that. The blue light is not coming into my body anymore, or through my eyes at least. Like,
Mhm.
and it feels different because I've had a few nights where like uh for a while I only had the orange lenses. I just got some yellow ones, but for a while I only had the orange lenses. And if I had to be away from home and driving home, I wasn't going to be able to wear those while I was driving because they blocked too much light. And so I would come home and feel jazzed. Like there's just I had more energy than I should, and I knew it was like the light version of caffeine. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's real.
and it really is. And so and then I would notice like I would put those orange lenses on, and within an hour, I could feel my body start to calm down and be ready. And so I know that they make a difference because I've experienced nighttime without them since I started wearing them, and it makes a big difference.
Mhm. So you've
So,
been able to start getting up in the morning. You've
mhm.
been able to start, you now sleeping like at a good decent time so you can get up. I've heard you say something about you've been really productive in the morning now, like
Oh,
mornings. Like what are your mornings now?
so now I get up for sunrise. and go outside and do some time out on the deck. And depending on the day, if it's really cold, I will sometimes crawl under a blanket to stay warm for 45 minutes before I have to go back outside, because I go back out an hour after sunrise as well. But that's only if it's really cold, which is starting to be now in the mornings. But during the middle of the summer, sometimes I wouldn't even come inside. I'd go hit the garden while it was still cool enough to do that without breaking a sweat. And so I would work in the garden, and then that would transition into working in the yard because I saw something that needed to be handled. And then I would run inside and pop in a load of laundry and start the dishwasher. And by 9, 10 in the morning, I had this huge list of things finished that I probably in my life before sunrise and circadian paying attention to the circadian things and the lighting and the blue light, I probably wouldn't have even started those until 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
Mm.
So it's almost like I feel like sometimes I've accomplished all the things that I want to accomplish in my day by 10 in the morning, and then I'm done. So
Often how I feel too. It feels great, right?
it
Like,
really does. And I like now I'll be texting people early in the morning because I'm up, and they're like, "Who even are you?" Yeah, like, I've known you most of your life, and how is it that you're texting me at 6:30 AM? You know?
so other people have noticed the change in
Oh,
you as
yes,
well.
for
Yeah.
sure, yeah, and, um, it's actually, that's kind of fun. It's almost like losing weight, and when people start noticing it and you're so proud of yourself, "I've worked so hard for this, and I'm so proud that people are noticing."
I'm a morning person now, everybody. Should all get t-shirts.
Right, yeah.
I still feel a little proud every time I get out for sunrise. It's like a bit, I mean, it's just like I'm doing this. I'm really doing this for my body. Like, look at me go. It's
Yes.
really cool, right?
It
Like,
is really cool. I'm proud of myself every morning when I tromp out there, even if it's cold. So, yeah.
yeah. I was proud, and I was proud that you kept it going too, because I know sometimes we start things and then I really haven't met anybody yet that hasn't kept this as a habit. They might, like even me, when it was really early in the summer, like 5 a.m., I missed some days. And some days I'm like, I didn't make it out, but I always go back to it like as quickly as I possibly can because it just feels so much better when,
Yeah.
and that's what I've heard from all the women. They're just like, I didn't even think that I would feel this different in my mood and how like all these things I didn't expect. And now I just crave it. I need it. And I'm almost willing to rework my schedule, so that I can get that into my day. Is that important? So
Yeah.
it's kind of cool. Are
I've
there any
I've
other, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like you said, missed a few days. I've missed a few days, but I noticed on those days that I missed it. It really made a difference in my energy level through the day. And usually it wasn't a conscious choice. It was because I forgot to turn the volume up on my phone, so I didn't hear my alarm. So then when my husband woke up to his alarm that was an hour later, he'd be like, "Are you still in bed? What are you doing? I thought you do sunrise." You
You're like, I do.
know?
I just missed it.
But not today, apparently. So,
Yeah, I started
yeah.
experimenting too to see what if I got out like 20 minutes after sunrise and still got in that sunrise window, but I didn't see the actual, or I wasn't out for the actual shift. And I notice a
Mhm.
difference especially in the energy I feel. Also in my mood. I notice a difference in my mood. I'll be more anxious during the day if I don't get that first. I don't know if that's because of how it kind of like sets up the cortisol rise in the morning, but I play around with it, and when I do miss it, I'm like, "That's an experiment, so let's see how I feel." Instead of being like, "Oh, you
Yeah.
missed a day," it's just like, "Oh, I missed it. Let's see how that feels differently."
Yeah.
Um, and so I part of why I wanted to talk with you and is because I think you're someone who just out of the blue, you messaged me with really cool information about some lab work that you got. I don't know if you're willing to share that, but I
Yeah.
was it's very like very because a lot of this can feel intangible, like, oh, I have more energy, oh, I sleep better, my mood is better, I'm more productive. And then what you were sharing with me was real tangible lab results of these are things that are changing number wise with different aspects of my health. And are you willing to share some of those? Because I think it's really exciting.
Yeah, I can. So the big one was vitamin D. I for 13 years at least, I have been chronically low, like below the normal range, and nothing I did got it back up. Taking vitamin D supplements, nothing. And that plays into some of the other things I have going on with my health. It's very common for people with the autoimmune disease that I have to have low vitamin D. And so I've just kind of expected it to be low. I still supplement and I haven't changed any of that except for I changed sunrise. And so now getting the sunrise and the UVA light, and then also spending a lot more time outside because now I know how good for me sun is. I think we all know that, oh, get out in the sun, you'll feel better. We all kind of know that, but I know beyond that now how good that is for me. And so I've been this summer especially spending as much time as I can outside gardening, even if it's just a quick trip outside to sit in the sun for 10 minutes and then come back inside and get stuff done. I've been doing it. And so last August, at the beginning of August, I had labs run and my vitamin D was 23, which is well below the normal range. And this year in July, so 11 months later, it was 47. And that was really before I was spending a ton of time outside, even because the summer was just ramping up at that point. And I think if we tested it now, it would probably be higher. But even still, that jump in with no other changes than adding sunshine is a pretty big jump, especially for me because I've never been able to get my vitamin D into the normal range. And now it is, it's in the normal range. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I know.
That's awesome.
It was really good. So, and then some other things. I have a thyroid condition, and my for the past few years, my thyroid labs have been all over the place. Just sometimes, mostly due to the fact that my medication had a problem for a while. But I got the medication straightened out a year ago. Um, and this year, when I went to my doctor for my yearly visit and we were looking at my thyroid labs, she was thrilled with them because they were perfect. She's like, I don't really think we need to adjust anything. It's great. And I know that a lot of the balance that has come has been because of partly the sleep schedule being better, but the sleep schedule wouldn't be possible without the sunlight. Um, and I know that the UVA light is really good for hormones anyway. And I've been spending so much time outside in the sun that I know that it's helping with that. And then also my glucose and insulin levels. For last summer, I was insulin resistant. It tested and completely insulin resistant. And this summer, my insulin resistance numbers were in the normal range, barely, but in the normal range. So everything is
Okay.
trending
I
into
didn't
a
even know
better,
that one.
yeah.
I
So,
didn't, well, and that makes sense, right? Because I
mhm,
know you've been eating your breakfast outside.
right,
You've been eating meals outside. And so when we're under that sunlight, it helps to mediate the blood sugar response and the insulin response.
right,
And eating with blue light, like if you're eating in front of your phone or TV or you're under lights inside, that's shooting up your insulin and your blood sugar. So
right.
so you're blocking that, the blue light, at least coming into the eyes, that's at night, that's helping to mitigate that. Eating outside is helping to get all that, red and infrared to mitigate that. So that makes total sense to me.
Right. And I expect it to get better because now I have the yellow lenses. So I probably should have them on now, but I was expecting to do this Zoom outside and the internet wasn't good. So I didn't have them close by when I rushed inside to make our meeting on time. But I would probably be wearing them now. Like I just got them last week. So I expect my insulin numbers to get even better because I'm going to start blocking light when I'm using screens. So,
Yeah. And that's so important as we're starting to come into one of the things that's been really interesting for me is now doing a full year of circadian living because I started last early in September. So I've done a whole year now, and it's so interesting how the blocking of the light is so important in fall and winter because there's just so much more darkness. So we have
right.
just an increased chance of all the toxic effects of that. So I'm glad you got those yellows because you'll probably be using them a lot more driving after dark. If you're getting up before sunrise and you don't want to put the oranges on, putting on those yellows. So you'll get a lot of use out of those.
Yes,
As it
I
gets
will.
dark.
Yeah, I actually, the few driving experiences that I've had, I don't do a lot of things at night anymore because I get tired now. But there's been a few things where I've been out after dark, and the experience of feeling all jazzed and light toxic, I guess you would call it, when I came home because I wasn't able to wear those blockers while I was driving. That's what made me decide I really need to get those yellow lenses so that I know I can wear them at least if for nothing else when I'm out driving at night, because now like as soon as winter hits, there's going to be some days where it's dark at 4:30. So I'm really going to need them. So
I love how you just embraced this and you did it for yourself and you did it even though you knew it was going to be hard at first. And you were like, I'm going for it. And I just love that. I'm so glad you told me about it because you went through the whole course. And a lot of people will email me questions each day or like give me updates each day. And I didn't hear from you until the end. And you sent me your little sheet with everything checked off. And I was like, but how'd you do? Like, how was it? So it's been so fun to just follow your journey and now to be able to kind of like, talk circadian stuff with you and, you know,
yeah,
wear blue
I'm
blockers and all that good stuff.
I'm so glad that you shared and did the course because I really feel like that was the thing that pushed the healing to the point where it is for me. I knew that I needed to get my sleep schedule in order. I knew it wasn't good for my health, and I also knew that the only way that that was going to happen was if some big changes happened, and I just didn't feel capable of doing it. And so I'm so glad that you shared your course because it made a huge difference for me. Right.
Mm.
So
Well,
yeah. Oh, I also forgot to tell you, I think that I may have messaged this to you, but I also had nodules on my thyroid in 2022. They found them at the end of 2022. And I have followed up with testing to see if the nodules were still there over the course of 2023 and early 2024. And as of I think my last ultrasound before this summer was in November of 2023, and I still had three nodules there. And I had thyroid cancer when I was much younger, and so nodules for me are a big deal. When I see those on my thyroid, that's a big deal for me. And so we've been watching them and keeping a close eye on them. And from November to July, early July is when I had my ultrasound this summer. And remember, I started the sunrise in March and
Mhm.
started paying attention to everything circadian. I went from having three nodules to now I just have one, and the one that is left is smaller. So that's a big deal too.
Wow, that is a
So
big deal.
yeah, I probably should have said
Uh,
that one first, but but it that one for me is just when I got those results, because every time I look at ultrasound results now that I've had nodules to worry about, I look at them with like this catch in my throat, what's it going to be? Is it good news or going to be bad? And so when I looked at the results, I mean, for the past year and a half, it had been bad news. They were still there. And so when I looked at those results and saw that there was just one, I was like churning the digital pages, like, is there more to this report? Like there's only one. I broke down crying. It was the best kind of crying, but I was just so relieved.
Oh,
And I know that all the things that I had done, I had been doing them for a year and a half and nothing had gotten rid of them. And I know that the only change I made was fixing my circadian rhythm. And it it feels like such a small thing to make such a big difference, but it made a huge difference.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is why I wanted you to share your story because I think people are discounting circadian and quantum health because it seems so simple and because it's free, right?
Mhm.
Like all right, it's all free. The sun, everything is out here for us. And I think people are just like, oh, I just want to go spend thousands of dollars on supplements and protocols and expensive doctors and all. And the thing is, the doctors don't even know any of this. Like maybe in 5 or 10 years, maybe the mainstream will start catching on. But right now, they don't even know this. It's too cutting edge, but it's so back to basics simple that I think
Right.
everybody's like, oh, I don't know, this can't work. And so I wanted, we could talk for an hour about why the sunlight is affecting your thyroid and why blocking blue light at night, wearing glasses and other things is helping your thyroid. We don't need to go into that now, but I think people don't understand like the major impact these simple things, going outside for the morning light, eating outside, blocking the blue light in. Even if you just did those, the simple things in just the Sunrise Club, it's enough to change, it's enough to change your health, to change your life.
It is.
Um, which is crazy. I mean, you haven't even done the circadian rhythm reset yet. So you haven't
Yeah.
even like the full day, but I tried to put enough in the Sunrise Club so that people could get a little taste and at least get started. Because if you're wearing the blue blockers and you're doing the morning stuff, it all kind of like you start to crave the sunlight and you'll start to just do things naturally anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah, you haven't even done that one yet. So
I
that's
haven't.
wild. That's
So
wild.
I can't wait to see what happens with that. I'm going to be a
Uh,
whole new person. So
oh my gosh. Well, I just want to thank you so much for hopping on with me and sharing your story today. And I hope that it inspires other women to take the leap, even if they are a night owl, or even if they're like, oh, sunrise, or oh, this sounds too, woo-woo or whatever. Like just take the leap and try it. You never know what it's going to do for your body.
yes.
Yeah, because we don't
Even
have control over what that light going into our eyes and going into our brain, what it's going to do. Like it's so masterful.
Yeah, it's true. And even though like I think that the biggest hang up for me really was the fact that I was going to have to be awake early. And I know that that's hard, especially when you're tired and there's so many things, especially for women, I feel like that make that morning time especially hard if we're not used to it. Kids, life, taking care of the house, all that stuff that we typically do ourselves because it's just what we do. And so for me, I always had all these excuses of, oh, I just, I can't do it because I have to be up late to do this and that, and I just can't do mornings. And um, but since I took the leap and did that and realized that, oh, it is possible to make the change. It's not easy, but it's possible. And it got easier the more I did it, which is the whole point, to do it that way. But it has made such a difference that I can't imagine going back to staying up late and sleeping in the morning and not feeling the way that I do because uh, even just with the relief of my medical conditions getting better, and that is a relief. Um, Even if it weren't for that, the way that I feel every day has made such a difference that I would keep doing it, even if that was the only benefit, honestly.
Mm,
So
I agree. I haven't
yeah,
even had any labs done or anything because I'm like, I'm just going by how I feel and just how my day is better and my mood and my energy and my sleep and my hormones and my hot flashes and like all the things. And I'm like, at some point, maybe I'll measure some things, but uh, yeah, yeah, there's something to be said for that intangible. Like I just feel better doing it.
yeah, I
So
feel a lot better. So I
yeah,
agree with you.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Well,
Mhm.
thank you so much. I
Sure.
really appreciate you sharing your story with us. And I hope it will help other women to have hope around whatever they're going through.
I
So
hope so too. Yeah. Okay.